Success, a short word carrying the weight of dreams, ambition, pride, and a quiet burden that few dare to name. When people speak of success, they think of bright lights, applause, congratulatory handshakes, and eyes filled with admiration. But behind closed doors, beyond the glare of the spotlight, what remains? Ask yourself this: what is left when night falls, when every contract is signed, every meeting adjourned, and all the congratulatory messages fall silent, as if they've completed their polite duty? How many people truly touch the raw wound of a successful person, not to praise it, not to use it, but simply to understand the loneliness so carefully hidden? Why do we feel lonely when we succeed? A question that seems to defy logic. Success often comes with a vast network. More people, you speak with more people, you appear in more places. So why does the emptiness inside keep growing? With success, you gain the privilege to choose, but along with it comes a new burden, responsibility. You begin to separate yourself from small talk and shallow promises. You learn to say no, to decline, to protect your time. And ironically, this self-protection quietly builds an invisible wall. The higher you climb, the colder the wind blows. Success lifts you up the mountain, but the cold wind up there is the distance between you and the rest of the world. Do you still remember the last time you laughed freely? Do you remember the last time someone called you just to ask, "Are you really okay?" without needing anything in return? There are truths we'd rather not admit, yet they persist. First, not everyone loves you for you. Success turns you into a door through which others glimpse their own hopes. You become the person who can help me, the person who can save me, the person who can unlock a door I cannot. So every handshake, every compliment, every dinner invitation, how much of it is genuine? How much of it is only a transaction? How do you know who truly cares about you and who only cares about the keys you hold? Second, when you stand at a place many wish to reach, you lose the freedom to be fragile. People drape an invisible armor over you. You must be strong, resilient, unwavering. They praise you as a hero, a success story, and this praise chains you to an unspoken rule. You are not allowed to say, "I am lonely." Picture a night in a big city. You step out of a glamorous event, your polite smile still intact. You check your phone. Messages overflow. Requests for meetings, thank yous, subtle favors. But where is the message that simply asks, "Have you eaten yet? Are you sleeping well?" When the speeches are quoted, the photos are posted, you lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, and wonder, if I lost it all tomorrow, who would stay? Success trains you to speak well, to schedule your days to the minute, to answer the most complex questions. Yet, it doesn't teach you how to answer this one. How do I stop feeling like a stranger in the very world I built for myself? Have you ever felt embarrassed to admit how lonely you are? You fear judgment. You fear people will say you're ungrateful. After all, you have it all: money, power, status. So how dare you admit you're lonely? This fear silences so many successful people. They choose to share grand victories, big lessons, powerful visions, but rarely do they share the sleepless nights, the restless dreams, the moments standing in front of the mirror, wondering if the smile they practice is real or just necessary to keep the machine running. Do you remember the last time you were loved as an ordinary person, loved by someone who didn't care about how much money you made, how many employees you had, how many properties you owned, but who only cared whether you had eaten, what made you laugh, what you feared, how tired you felt? Success distorts love. It turns love into worship. You stop being you. You become an icon. And icons don't get tired, don't falter, don't make mistakes. You unintentionally become a statue locked inside a temple someone else built. Another question: is it possible that you chose loneliness in part? Yes. You prioritized work over dinner plans. You skipped gatherings for deadlines. You avoided deep conversations to save time. You told yourself, when I'm even more successful, everything will be different. But the higher you climbed, the more you became used to saying no. And when you finally wanted someone to sit beside you in the quiet, you realized you'd forgotten how to start a real conversation. Is there a way out of the loneliness behind success? Maybe the real question isn't how do I stop being lonely, but how do I accept loneliness as a natural part of this path? You can learn to choose your connections wisely. You can accept that no one else is responsible for filling that empty space except you. You can allow yourself to be vulnerable in front of at least one person, or at least in front of yourself. You can try to pause one evening without emails or work calls, one genuine phone call to someone you haven't spoken to in ages, or simply sit alone in your room, face yourself, and listen to what your heart wants. When you strip away the trophies, when everything around you is built on image, numbers, and strategies, the only thing that can save you from loneliness is honesty. Not the polished honesty for an audience, not the kind that wins applause, but the private kind with yourself and with the few you trust. Give yourself a space, without name cards, without transactions, just a few people willing to sit quietly while you stop pretending to be strong. And if no one like that exists yet, start with yourself. Don't lie to yourself about being fine when you're clearly exhausted. In the end, What is success if you can only share it with crowds, but have no one to share your silent sighs with? What is success if you step into a grand house, but only light one corner, eat a cold meal, sleep in a bed that no longer smells of care? Be successful if you wish, but be successful without sacrificing the soft ties that make you human. Don't be afraid to admit that you, too, want to be held, to hear comforting words, to see eyes that love you, not for your achievements, but for you. Success can be lonely, but it doesn't have to stay that way forever. You can choose to fill that space, not with new deals, but with a real phone call, a real dinner, a confession that you're just a human being who still needs to be loved. And if you're still listening to me now, allow yourself to pause for a moment. Call someone you genuinely miss. Send a message to someone who has nothing to do with your work. Or simply look in the mirror and ask, are you okay? If you found something true in these words, leave a sign, a like, a share, a quiet subscribe, not to worship me, but to remind us all that somewhere out there, honest conversations between people still matter. Thank you for listening.